In this section, we will be learning to interact with our broker via their live APIs. So in this section, we are going to focus, as mentioned, on Alpaca very specifically. And Alpaca has, great documentation. Again, an up-and-coming brokerage that is built around algorithmic trading, meant for, communicating with your accounts and placing trades via the APIs. But we're not going to jump into Robinhood or TD Ameritrade. But what we want to focus on in this is how we understand the documentation and how we're communicating with that API. So what is it asking me to give it, and what am I getting back in return? How can I check? So we know that this information is accessible on those other ones, on my other brokerages that I might want to use long term, but it may require a little bit of a different pass to it, and I may get a little bit of information back from it, and I may have to digest it differently, and that's fine. We really just want to learn that communication style, what those inputs are that it requires to get the calls, and then how we get the information back. So in this, with our Alpaca focus, we're going to look at how we obtain account information and our portfolio history. So we're going to get several different items from our account and from our portfolio that will be required to trade, to close securities, to figure out what you're earning, what you've earned over a certain period of time. We'll also be placing live trades to our paper accounts. So we'll be learning different types of order entries. My personal favorite, bracket orders. I'm going to go over those in good detail. So how do we buy and sell in and out of our securities within that brokerage? And then lastly, how do we check our positions? How do we look at our order books? How do we make sure things have executed? We're going to look at all of that and make sure that, again, we understand the basics, how the calls are being made, and not just, here's some of this thrown at you and good luck, go find your way on how to do it elsewhere. So successful completion of this course should allow the user to understand exactly what we just discussed. How do we pass information to our brokerage and obtain our account and our portfolio information? How could we pass information to submit an order? So what types of data do we need to pass it? How do we understand if the trade was successful? How do we check our current positions in order books so that we know, again, we're looking and giving confirmation that our trades did place, that we do have orders that have went through, and then using this information, pulling it back, we'll display it later in some of our live dash applications. Getting information on security. So we touched a little bit on this in the last section where we got information on a security and whether it was shortable, but we're going to look and show you how to get additional information from those securities where we can grab stock prices, look at exactly, make sure we're confirming that it's the name of the company we in fact want to trade, whatever that looks like. You can making sure you can grab that information and know that you're making the right trades. And then lastly, how do we put this information into data frames so that we can analyze it and use it for our display purposes later? So this is going to be very important because that call, whether it's Robinhood, TD Ameritrade, Alpaca, you're going to have that data likely come back in different formats depending on the call. So just understand that that's coming and figure out ways to negate that moving forward. So with that, we're going to go ahead and jump into our first section where we will learn to look at our account and portfolio history.